I bought my wife a cursed life extension plan. The sinister secrets I discovered the night I signed the form. A part of my soul twisted in dread, yet I was desperate. Sarah lay pale, the life slowly draining from her, and all I saw were the wrinkles creeping in around her eyes like shadows. The flyer crumpled in my hands promised miracles, a life extension plan boasting gold-plated results, with no fine print. I had never felt a pull quite like it. The urge to save my wife overrode every rational thought. I didn't fully grasp the darkness that was to come. In the weeks after, I watched my wife bloom before my eyes. Her laughter echoed through the halls, light and airy like chimes in the spring breeze. I felt hope flourishing. But it wasn't long before I noticed the unsettling changes, the whispers oozing through the walls, creeping into my thoughts. At first, it was just the hum of footsteps at night. A fleeting breeze would rattle the windows, sending shivers up my spine. I'd tell myself it was just the wind, but deep down, I knew better. "Tom?" Sarah called from the kitchen one evening, her voice sing-song and light. Almost too light. I followed the sounds, but when I got there, she was alone, a distant look in her eyes. Yet again that smile, the one that felt rehearsed, appeared on her face. My heart raced, confusion blocking my thoughts as I stared long and hard at her. Something was off. Weeks melted into a fog, punctuated by sinister changes in our neighbors. The Thompsons, who once delighted in grilling burgers on sunny weekends, now seemed ominous, their curtains drawn tight, faces hidden behind glass. They would peer out, eyes filled with something I couldn't decode, their laughter now reduced to hushed mirth, like a secret I wasn't meant to uncover. It sent ripples of panic crawling across my skin. Searching for answers took me deeper into a snare woven from secrets and shadows. My nightmares turned feral. Sarah whispering to a figure cloaked in darkness, their shapes swirling around me in the suffocating gloom. I'd wake up gasping, sweat spilling down my back, the whispers leaching into my aura with each heartbeat. The crickets outside, which had once lulled me to sleep, sputtered into a bizarre cacophony of hushed voices. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. After seeking the wisdom of an elderly historian in town, I uncovered a chilling tale of rituals performed in the hospital at the edge of our quiet suburb. The life extension plan was a mask shrouding grotesque truths, a web of exploitation that left behind souls entwined with ever-darkening shadows. With dread I realized what had I truly signed up for. As the sun dipped below the skyline, I felt the weight of the neighborhood pressing down on me. Faces peered out like the walking dead, eyes flickering away upon meeting mine. They were watching. I looked back at Sarah, her demeanor fading into something cold, something unnatural. The chasm between us widened, and with it came the gnawing realization, to save her, I would need to wage war against the very darkness creeping into our lives. Fate swung on the precipice of my choices, leaving a haunting question lingering in the air: was our love worth appending the sinister curse that threatened us? The shadows danced eagerly, waiting for my next move, as the chill of paralyzing fear seeped into my veins. A confrontation loomed. I'll have to decide: rescue Sarah from an insidious fate, or succumb to the darkness that had drawn us in. What price would I pay to bring her back? The following evening, I steeled myself for the confrontation that loomed like thunderclouds on the horizon. I had to talk to Sarah, to peel back the layers of whatever had invaded her mind. Each step toward the living room felt like walking through quicksand, slow and agonizing. The shadows twisted around me, slinking against the walls as if alive. "Sarah?" I called, my voice cracking. I didn't recognize the sound of it. Fear and desperation intertwined. The light in the room flickered, bathing her in a sickly glow. She turned to me, that same unsettling smile curving her lips, eyes glimmering with something I couldn't place. "Tom, I was just thinking about you." Her voice sparkled, but the edges echoed with an unsettling eeriness. Thinking or plotting? I shot back, my heart pounding against my ribs. The smile faltered for just a moment. Why would you say that? She stepped closer, and I recoiled. There was something tangible in the air, a weight that pressed down, threatening to crush me. Something's wrong, Sarah. You're not the same, I said, the words spilling out desperate. The neighbors, the voices, I'm fine. You just need to relax, she interrupted, a little too forceful. Now that we have this wonderful opportunity, we can finally live. Live? Live how? I pointed toward the window, where shadows danced just out of view. Is this really life? Are we even ourselves anymore? My breath quickened, panic bubbling to the surface. Her laughter filled the room, yet it felt hollow, like a wind chime ringing on a breezeless day. You're overreacting. Look at me. I'm alive. I ascent that what you wanted. She leaned in too close, and the chill of her breath froze my heart. But there was something deep in her gaze that felt disjointed, as if it was a mask that could slip away at any moment, revealing something darker beneath. A shadow flitted across her face, and I glimpsed something. Hunger? The air morphed, thickening with tension. Around us, the house creaked with unspoken secrets. Goosebumps crept up my arms as I felt unseen eyes watching from behind the curtains. You shouldn't be so afraid of what's coming, Tom, she said, her voice turning soft, conspiratorial. They want to help us. You just need to trust. Help? Or control? I gasped, recoiling from the whispers of dread swirling inside my skull. I remembered the historian's words, the lifeless souls caught in the web of the hospital's sinister legacy. What did you promise them? Sarah's face twisted, excitement sparking in her eyes. I promised them everything, she exclaimed, almost euphoric. It's all worth it, Tom. Just trust me. Everything about that moment felt wrong. Behind her, the shadows pulled and pushed, clawing at the edges of my sanity. I need to get you away from whatever this is. This curse. Then she froze, her expression shifting to one of sudden anger, as if a switch had flicked. Curse? You think I'm cursed? Her voice erupted, raw and fierce. The air grew heavy, the walls trembling with invisible force. I stumbled back as the shadows lurched toward me like hungry beasts. Sarah, no! I cried, fighting against the looming dread that threatened to consume me whole. As I turned to flee, a shattering scream echoed through the house, freezing me in place. It was low, guttural, filled with profound agony. I knew, without a doubt, that it had come from Sarah. I had to act fast. Was I too late to save her from whatever malevolent hold had chained her? The shadows dripped closer, hungry and feral, and I took a single breath, feeling the air taut around me. What revelations lay ahead, and would I be able to wrest Sarah from the edge of oblivion, or was I lost forever in the depths of her curse? As the darkness closed in, I sensed a deeper truth waiting to be unveiled. Could I confront the malevolence woven into our lives before it was too late? The scream resonated through the very bones of the house, vibrating with a haunting familiarity. Sarah clutched her throat, her hands trembling as if trying to hold back a tide of despair rising within her. Her eyes, once vibrant, now mirrored a swirling abyss, hinting at the depths into which she had plunged. Tom, help me, she wheezed, a cry tinged with both fear and the faintest glimmer of hope. I wanted to rush to her side, to pull her from the brink, but the shadows coiling closer stopped me in my tracks. They crept along the floor, writhing like snakes hungry for prey. What do they want? I whispered, mostly to myself, fear pooling in the pit of my stomach. I'm fighting them, she stammered, her voice cracking. But they're getting stronger. Fight harder. I shouted, desperation driving my words as I scanned the room for an exit. The windows, once avenues of escape, now appeared as impenetrable darkness, obscured by shadows that seemed alive, pulsating with a devouring hunger. I couldn't stay here. Not when Sarah needed me. But as I moved to turn away, shadows slithered closer, brushing against my feet, tugging with an icy grip. You promised, Tom, Sarah gasped, her voice dropping to a whisper. You promised we'd be together? You're scaring me, I countered, glancing back at her. The warmth of her presence felt distant now, fractured like glass. What kind of bond existed between us if it tethered me to this nightmare? The room echoed with a low rumble, a mocking laughter emerging from the corners. Was it coming from Sarah? Or the very walls that had witnessed something unspeakable? The air thickened, and I could feel pressure building like something was about to burst. I took a step back, and the laughter transformed into chanting, a chorus of voices layered with malice. I stumbled, my heart racing against an onslaught of primal fear. Leave her alone! I yelled, charging forward. My mind was clear, there was no way I was abandoning her to the darkness. As I reached for her, she flinched back, her face twisting momentarily into a snarl, revealing a glimpse of something beyond human. I froze. Help me, she pleaded again, this time with a raw desperation that clawed at my heart. Sarah, what is happening to you? My voice trembled, mixing with the rising chaos that enveloped us both. What did you do? Her eyes widened, catching the flicker of shadows creeping into her. They're inside me. They want control. I couldn't resist. I felt the ground beneath my feet shudder as if resonating with Sarah's words. Something deep within me recoiled. We can fight this. We can get you back. No! She barked, taking a step toward me. Her whole demeanor shifted, a culmination of terror and rage brewing behind her eyes. You need to let go, Tom. Otherwise, we'll both be lost. The walls seemed to pulse, heartbeat-like, urging me to surrender, to succumb to whatever fate awaited me here. My mind raced, grappling with impossible choices, torn between saving Sarah and saving myself. Out of nowhere, Sarah lunged forward, grasping my wrist in a vice-like grip. A surge of energy rushed between us, electric and terrifying. Trust me, she demanded, her voice now saturated with the weight of something ancient. And then, a blinding flash of pain surged through me, an explosion of shadows entering my very being. I gasped, suddenly seeing the world from both inside and out. I could hear the whispers now, clearer than ever, a cacophony of despair mingling with longing, merging into an uncanny narrative of souls lost. Through the fog of confusion, I caught Sarah's twisted reflection in a nearby mirror, a sickening realization creeping in. In that moment, I understood, one of us must break free to save the other, but who? The air crackled again, and the unseen forces seemed to thrash against an unknown barrier. Just then, I felt Sarah's grip slip, as if she was being pulled away. Tom, don't let them take me! The shadows roared and surged, enveloping us both, and I heard a chilling laughter resonate through the darkness, merging with those haunting whispers. As all light flickered, and the house trembled, I realized something crucial. A decision had to be made, and soon. Could I find the strength to navigate through this haunting darkness and make the ultimate choice, or were we both already doomed? The shadows shrieked like banshees, wrapping tighter around me, pulling at my very essence. I could feel Sarah's grip slipping, her fingers growing cold. It wasn't just the darkness that threatened to consume her, it was the bond we shared, twisted and corrupted. I had always thought love could conquer all, but in moments like this, I felt its frailty. Don't let go, Sarah! I shouted, straining against the invisible force tugging at me. I pushed against the darkness, a desperate plea mingling with my fear, my voice a raw edge of panic. But as I tried to pull her back toward me, she seemed to transform, her fear melting into something darker. You don't understand, Tom. I have to let it happen. You don't know what's at stake. Her words hung in the air, laced with a foreign malice. What on earth was she talking about? The laughter rose to a fever pitch. I clutched my head, the noise tearing at the seams of my sanity. What's at stake? Your life? You're fighting for your very soul. A moment of clarity broke through the chaos. The shadows whispered secrets, tantalizing and treacherous, raising questions that twisted my gut into knots. Was this all part of some long-laid plan, a trap meant for us both? My eyes flickered back to the mirror where Sarah's reflection was now almost demonic. Her features were stark and pale, and there, Amidst the shadows, I saw a flicker, a memory of the woman I loved, buried beneath layers of darkness. I couldn't let fear win. With newfound determination, I reached for her again, my voice steadier. Then let me fight with you. Whatever's inside you, we can beat it together. Her expression shifted, struggling against the tide of darkness that raged inside her. I felt her wavering, as if the flicker of hope had rekindled something within her. Tom, I can feel them fighting back. We can break their hold, but you have to. Her voice dwindled, swallowed by despair. Tell me what? I urged, the air tightening around us like a noose. I will do anything. The plan, she gasped, a shiver coursing through her body. You must know about the plan, Tom. It's not just about me. There's something bigger, something they want. Suddenly, the walls quivered, the house seeming to wake from a deep slumber. Chills spiraled down my spine as a pulse of energy surged through the floor, vibrating my very bones. The shadows swirled in a frenzy, and I felt the floor beneath me crack. My breathing grew shallow, and panic clawed at my throat. Sarah! I screamed, desperate to ground myself in her. What's the plan? But the shadows surged, drowning her voice in a whirlpool of chaos. Just then, Sarah's eyes locked onto mine, her own familiar warmth replaced by icy dread. Get out now! A violent push threw me backward. I stumbled, muscles screaming in protest as I was cast away from her. The shadows whipped like a storm, swirling madly, and I found myself pressed against the wall, feeling its cold, rough surface. Tom! Don't leave me! Her voice sliced through the clamoring shadows, pulling at me. I had a choice to make, a choice spiraling down into the abyss with her or fleeing into the uncertain night. My heart raced, torn between love and survival. The shadows warred around her, battling for control, each deep, rumbling hiss licking closer to her. I felt it, an almost magnetic pull toward her. But time was slipping away. I could feel the darkness thickening, swallowing all hope. Sarah! I shouted, tearing at the invisible boundaries that confined us. Just as I turned to spring forward, a deafening roar echoed through the house, disorienting me momentarily. And then, I saw her, my Sarah, alone and desolate, surrounded by the darkness. The clock was ticking, and I faced the cruel reality. If I wanted to save her, I needed to confront the forces that had taken her. I couldn't escape without making one final choice. Could I truly unlock the dark plan ensnaring her? With a surge of adrenaline, I prepared myself for the fight of a lifetime. But as I lunged forward, my resolve crumbling under the weight of despair, a whisper, softer than a breeze, grazed my ear, filled with promises of horrors to come. Tom, don't you want to know what really waits for you on the other side? The shadows whispered again, and my heart sank, knowing that whatever lay ahead would change us both forever. What was I willing to sacrifice? In that chilling moment, I realized there was no turning back. I lunged into the darkness, the shadows wrapping around me like a suffocating blanket. Each step pulled me deeper into a whirlpool of despair, the weight of my decision crashing down as the sound of Sarah's cries faded into the chaos. There was only silence now, heavy and oppressive. I could feel the air thickening, pressing against my chest, as though the house itself resisted my intrusion. Hold on, Sarah! I shouted, pushing through the dark, searching for her, for any sign of her presence. Cold laughter surrounded me. It echoed off the walls, mocking me, challenging every ounce of courage I had left. My heart thundered. What had I stumbled into? What dark purpose entwined our lives? The ground shifted beneath my feet, splintering and cracking. Footsteps echoed, but there were no shadows to match them. My pulse raced as I spun around, the frantic energy clawing at my skin. Something was watching me. Something beyond my understanding, lurking just out of sight. Sarah! I called out again, desperation threading through my voice, but no answer came. Only the rustling whispers of twisted secrets. I reached out, hoping to sense her energy, cling to it like a lifeline. Just then, a flash of light ignited in the room beside me, illuminating grotesque shadows that twisted along the walls. I froze. The shadows formed into shapes, deformed figures writhing in agony. I stumbled backward, heart pounding. What are you? I shouted to the phantoms before me, feeling foolish yet compelled. They flickered, their forms shifting with malicious intent, and then exploded into a flurry of dark tendrils, reaching for me. Just then, a voice, deep and resonant, cut through the chaos. You've chosen poorly, Tom. Who are you? I managed to choke out, terror imbued in every syllable. The words tasted bitter and dry. Not who I am, but what I want that matters. The shadows twisted closer, and I felt a pull at my very essence, aching at the core of my being. It whispered dark promises, hints of power, of freedom from pain. It was seductive and terrifying. Do you want her back, or do you wish to uncover what lies in the hearts of shadows? My mind raced. The plan. Sarah's voice echoed in my head. There was more at stake than just us. I couldn't let the darkness claim her without a fight. But this temptation? It promised strength, power, control, everything I thought I wanted. Stop playing games! I yelled, fists clenched. I will save her. But the shadows chuckled again, a low, rattling sound that made my skin crawl. She is but one piece in a greater tapestry. Will you risk it all for her? You may discover things about her, about yourself, things you may never wish to know. The suspense gripped me. A pull beneath me whispered about secrets hidden in the house's very foundations. It felt like the walls were alive, invoking a sense of foreboding that left my breath shallow. I barely noticed the silhouette in the corner of the room, a flicker that resembled Sarah, her face obscured but familiar. Tom, please. It was her voice, soft and broken. Yet the shadows rumbled with vicious laughter. She was still fighting, but I felt the light of her struggle diminishing. In that moment, my choice solidified. I would not be swayed by the allure of power if it meant losing her forever. I dashed toward the flickering figure, the laughter swelling, heightening like a crescendo. I pushed back against the darkness, willing myself to break through with all my might. Enough! My voice boomed defiantly. I won't let you take her. But as the truth began to unravel, I felt the truth ripple beneath me, an impending revelation that could alter everything I understood about her, about us. What had Sarah been hiding? Where would this confrontation lead me? As I lunged forward, the shadows surged, pulling me into a vortex of questions, and just as I thought I could reach her, the room exploded into darkness, and I was left with a choking silence, with dread weighing down on my heart. What awaited me in that endless void? Would I come out the other side shattered or as something new? Entirely? The echoes of my desperation intertwined with the shadows, leaving me more uncertain than ever. And then I heard it again, the whisper cutting through the suffocating dark. What are you willing to sacrifice, Tom? The answer will change everything you thought you knew. The void enveloped me, hanging thicker than smoke, pressing at my throat. I was lost, swallowed by darkness that tasted metallic and cold. Every fiber of my being screamed to flee, yet I pressed onward, driven by the desperate hope that Sarah was still within reach. Sarah! I yelled into the emptiness, the sound swallowed whole. My voice echoed back, sounding like a cruel joke, bouncing off invisible walls. My heart raced as I instinctively sensed shadows creeping closer, tendrils curling around my feet. Images flashed through my mind, days of laughter, late-night whispered secrets, the promise of forever. But you can't hold on to love when darkness encroaches. Panic surged anew. Just then, a distant flicker caught my attention, a ghostly light shimmering like a lure in the abyss that I stumbled toward it, fueled by the flickering warmth, hoping for connection, for salvation. But as I drew closer, an icy hand gripped my heart. It wasn't Sarah. The light warped and twisted, morphing into a vision that churned my insides. It was a scene from memories I didn't realize I had, a moment replayed in horror. There she stood, but this time, she was different, hollow eyes and a cracked smile. You keep coming back, Tom, why? Her voice was syrupy sweet but laced with despair. Sarah! I reached out, a desperate plea, but with each step I took, she stepped back, the light enveloping her and dragging her deeper into the darkness. Do you want to know the truth? She taunted, laughter bubbling beneath the surface, echoing in a way that made my skin crawl. Do you want to see what's hidden in shadows? I want you back, I cried. Just tell me how. But the air crackled around me, and her form shattered like glass, leaving me alone with the void. A rush of wind whooshed past, and the shadows tightened their grip, whispering truths too heavy to bear. Sarah's choices led her here, Tom. Her secrets are tied to the darkness, woven into the fabric of this place. A voice murmured from within the shadows, smooth as silk yet cutting like glass. Do you really think you can save her? The walls vibrated with malice, and fear clutched my throat. What do you mean? My words trembled. What did she do? Everything she has done feeds into this realm. Every choice, every sacrifice has forged her path. The shadows shifted, revealing glimpses of dark rituals. Sarah's laughter mingled with cries, some horrifyingly joyous, others steeped in agony. No! I shouted, stepping back, nausea washing over me. She wouldn't do that. Wouldn't she? Each word dripped with poison, wrapping around my mind. She chose this life over another, a promise made to darkness, an extension of existence at a terrible price. Now, it's your turn to decide. The ground quaked, and I stumbled, mind racing with the implications of it all. My hands shook, adrenaline coursing through veins filled with dread. What kind of power could hold such vice over her? I turned in circles, trying to fight the grasping shadows that clamored for control. The laughter morphed into cries, echoing off walls that felt alive, and yet suffocating. The pressure was unbearable, the answers twisted like knives in my gut. Choose wisely. The voice serpentined through the dark, wrapping around me tighter. What are you willing to sacrifice for her life? What part of you will you give to save her soul? Panic coursed through me like wildfire. My fingers tingled with an acute sense of wrongness, the weight of the choices pressing down heavier than I could bear. Tom, it was not Sarah's voice, but a plea punctuated by terror. Tom, let me go. I froze, heart stuttering. This was the moment. This choice would redefine who I was, who we were. What if saving her meant losing myself? Just as I grasped the enormity of the moment, the room shifted violently, spiraling into a whirlwind of color and sound, a tempest of chaos that threatened to pull me apart. Tom! The voice faded into the cacophony, and I was hurled into an unknown fate. What awaited me on the other side of this chaos? Would I come face to face with my own darkness? Would I be ready for the truth that might tear everything I loved apart? I found myself tumbling through a kaleidoscope of colors and screams. The chaos wrapped around me like a whirlpool, dragging me down into a chilling abyss. Every ounce of hope I had was sucked away with the whirl. My body felt distant, as if I existed in a separate reality far from my own. Then, suddenly, I hit ground, a sharp jolt of pain striking my back as I fell hard. The world stopped spinning, but the echoes of anguish lingered, whispering around me like a haunting melody. I looked up, expecting more darkness to greet me. Instead, a dim glow broke through the shadows ahead. Tom? A familiar voice broke the silence, so weak it nearly drowned in the lingering echoes. My heart surged at the sound. Was it really her? Sarah! I called, scrambling to my feet, propelled by frantic adrenaline. I rushed toward the flickering light, the hope of her presence lifting the weight of despair from my chest, if only for a moment. As I drew closer, the light illuminated a twisted landscape, grotesque trees that seemed to writhe and twist, their gnarled branches like skeletal fingers reaching for me. Yet at the center of it all was her silhouette. She was kneeling on the ground, enveloped by shadow. Help me, Tom! Her voice was barely above a whisper, trembling with a broken fragility that gripped my soul. What happened to you? Panic ricocheted through my veins as I approached. I could see her face streaked with tears. But her eyes, they were pools of despair that sucked the warmth from the air, endless voids. Everything I did led to this. She looked away, as if the shame burned her. You have to understand, I thought I could control it. Control what? I urged, desperation making me reckless. What did you do? Tell me. The shadows slithered closer, competing with the light, drawing nearer like predatory creatures. I made a bargain, she confessed, raw and unfiltered. A deal with forces I didn't understand. I thought I could save us, save our future. Her words hung heavy, weighing on my chest. Every syllable seeped into the air, filled with regret and poison. What kind of future? I demanded, fear pushing me to the edge. They needed something from me, something significant. So I traded pieces of my soul little by little. Her voice trembled, twisting with guilt. I never thought it would cost this much. Dread washed over me as fragmented memories flickered, showing me dark rituals and twisted figures lurking in the corners of my mind. Each thread wrapped tighter around my heart. You didn't think, did you? You gave away your very essence. I needed to survive, she whispered, choking on her sorrow. And I thought you wouldn't care. I wanted to protect you. The shadows crept even closer, swallowing the light, the air thick with an almost tangible malice. I felt the pull of their darkness, almost as if they beckoned me to join her to make my own sacrifice. Sarah! How can I save you? My voice faltered, filled with dread. She looked at me, those hollow eyes pleading. You can't. The price is too great. I belong to the shadows now. But you, she hesitated, fear flickering across her face. You can't let them take you. The patch of light shone brighter for a moment, then flickered, the shadows laughing in their own cruel way. What if I do? I said, whispering the question to the looming darkness. What if I join you? Don't! She shrieked, desperation igniting her voice. The shadows stiffened, their hungry whispers growing more insistent, drowning out her words. Suddenly, the ground trembled violently beneath my feet, fissures cracking open, swirling blackness hungry for my choices. The shadows howled, urging me into their depths. No! I yelled, staggering back, terror gripping me fully as I watched Sarah get pulled away. I wouldn't let this happen. The light flickered once more, and I knew I had to choose. My heart ached in indecision. Would I bear the darkness or fight it at a cost? I needed to act, but the abyss awaited, stretching its greedy maw, and I stood on the precipice of decision. What would it take to confront the truth that lay buried within? Was there any escape, or would the shadows claim me too? The ground shook, and shadows swallowed the last remnants of light. I felt a pull, something deep within me, a primal instinct that roared louder than my own thoughts. My heart raced as I stumbled, desperately trying to keep my feet beneath me. Panic seared through my veins, setting my mind on fire. Sarah! I screamed, my voice cracking beneath the weight of despair. I reached out as the darkness dragged her deeper, her pleading gaze piercing my soul like a dagger. Her mouth moved, words lost to the chaos, but her expression said it all. She was slipping away. With every second, the shadows writhed, closing in on me like a storm. I turned, seeking escape, only to find the landscape twisted and alien. The trees swayed, their bark contorted into faces, grotesque visages that appeared to watch me, hungry and derisive. I stumbled back, dread coiling in my gut. Tom! Run! Sarah's voice sliced through the haze, a frantic echo. You have to get out. I hesitated, torn between the urge to flee and the desire to save her. I won't leave you! I shouted, my words clawing through the oppressive air. But deep down, a dark thought curled. What if this was all I could do? What if I was the one who needed to be saved? Please, you don't understand. Her face remained a mask of terror, urgent and pleading, as shadows twisted around her, taunting. They'll consume you too. The beckoning void pulsed with insatiable hunger. Shadows writhed in mad anticipation, and I felt them reaching out, brushing fingers against my skin, promising dark power and knowledge. I tore my gaze from Sarah, eyes fixed on the distance, a vague shimmer of light flickering somewhere far off, a signal of salvation. Without thinking, I turned and ran. The ground shifted beneath my feet, swirling like a maelstrom, and as I fled, the echo of my footsteps transformed into whispers, words filled with promise and dread. Join us, it's easier than fighting. I stumbled into a thick fog, chest heaving, lungs burning. Yet somehow, those whispers began to find a rhythm, a beat that both terrified and seduced me. Give in, Tom. Why resist? I gasped for air, shoulders tightening. My eyes darted behind me, Sarah's silhouette twisted among the trees, a haunting reminder of what I risked losing. Tom! Her voice rose in a shriek, drowning out the siren calls from the dark. Just when I thought I'd lost her completely, I glimpsed her face, distorted by shadows but steadfast in its resolve. Don't turn back. You must run. The ground trembled again, and dread pooled like ice water. I could feel the shadows pushing against me, an anguished roar rising, desperate. We will find you. You are ours. With a burst of speed born of sheer terror, I propelled myself forward, clutching the last threads of Sarah's voice echoing in my mind like a battle hymn. Fight. Fight to remember. But as I pressed forward, the light flickered again, moments away but intangible, retreating. The seduction of the shadows burned within me, and every breath became a struggle between despair and defiance. I could almost hear the whispers of power promise everything I ever wanted if I just stopped fighting. Just as my legs threatened to buckle, the landscape shifted, walls closing in, dark roots reaching skyward, a prison of nightmares forming around me. I lunged toward the fading light, the darkness closing like a heavy blanket, and then it hit me hard, a sudden jolt, a vision blinding me for a heartbeat. Sarah, the bargain, the realization crashed over me like icy water. Was this really about me or her? My thoughts raced. Was I part of this darkness, or could I find a way to break her curse? The questions spiraled, overwhelming me as shadows clawed at my heels. I could feel their icy breath on my neck, urging me to submit. But somewhere in that darkness, I still clung to a thread of hope. Tom! The voice cut through, sharp and clear. I took a step toward it, desperate but determined. The shadows lunged. Pain spat through my back, but I kept running toward the light or wherever it led, and then I saw it, the glimmer of salvation, just beyond reach. But the shadows were relentless, and fear began to lace itself around every hope. Would I make it? Or would the darkness claim me too, twisting my soul in the same way it had trapped hers? I clenched my jaw, racing forward. What if the real nightmare lay ahead, buried deeper than I ever imagined? The ground opened up beneath me, and I fell into a void of terror, a chasm where echoes of long-lost screams reverberated against crumbling walls that morphed around me like living flesh. I braced myself, thoughts frantically racing. Sarah. Each breath was a fight against the chaos that clawed at my sanity. I landed hard, jolting my knees against the gravel. Pain shot through me, but it was nothing compared to the torment ringing in my ears. The shadows blended into the air around me, a thick, pulsing darkness that seemed to consume everything I had ever known. Tom! Her voice broke through the smog, tethering me, even from a distance. It was a beacon in this nightmare. I pushed myself upright, every instinct urging me to move. I staggered forward, hands outstretched, desperate to find her. Stay away from the edge. The warning echoed ominously in my mind. But what edge? I struggled, vision blurring, shadows snaking towards me like hungry serpents eager to wrap around my throat. The ground beneath quaked again, sending shards of rock skittering across my path like fearful whispers. Tom, listen to me. Sarah's tone shifted, urgency seeped into her words. I'm in a place where they can hear us. You can't linger. I grit my teeth, fear turning my stomach inside out. I'm coming. Just hold on. Run. Or they'll take you too. Her voice faded, cut off by an unholy howl that spread like wildfire through the darkness, chill crawling up my spine. I pressed onward, terror threading through my veins, blood pounding rhythmically in my ears. What had I done? Had I really signed up for this twisted nightmare? Their whispers slithered through my mind, enticing and taunting. Join us, Tom. You can have everything you desire. I could almost see it, a vision of a life with Sarah, free of the pain and darkness, blossoming like spring after a bitter winter. The shadows ignited my longing, beckoning me to let go, to give in. All I had to do was surrender. No! I shouted defiantly, pushing back against the echoing promises. My heart thundered as I blazed a path through the dark labyrinth, Each corner I turned revealing new horrors. Faded faces pressed against the walls, mouths open, twisted in silent screams. Help us, they seemed to plead. But I couldn't help. I needed to escape to reach Sarah before it was too late. Suddenly, the corridor split into 3 paths, all branching into darkness. The air twisted, filling with the smell of wet earth and decay. My instincts screamed danger. Which way? I murmured to myself, breathless. I hesitated, terror clenching tight around my throat like a vice. Choose quickly! A voice hissed from an unseen shadow. The darkness thickened, every whisper escalating into madness. They're coming. I glanced behind, a frantic glance, heart racing as I felt the whisper of death brush against my shoulder. The shadows leered and coiled, boiling toward me like oil in water. I couldn't see clearly, but I felt the palpable presence of something waking up, hungry. Left. I heard Sarah's voice, a desperate echo mixed with the chaotic cries of the void. Without thinking, I bolted to the left, desperation fueling my legs as I barreled down the passageway. The shadows wailed, clawing at my back, relentless. The walls pressed tighter, squeezing the air from my lungs. I could feel the heat. Something was lurking, something far worse than I had imagined, waiting at the next turn. I pushed myself harder, panic threading through every muscle, every thought. Sarah! I screamed again, my voice trembling with fear and hope. But what if she was no longer there? What if the shadows had taken her? The path opened suddenly into a vast chamber, lit by an eerie glow that bathed everything in sickly green. I froze. In the center, a circle of shadowy figures loomed, their faces hidden by darkness. And there she was, Sarah, bound, her eyes wide with fear but also glinting with defiance. Tom! But the moment I stepped forward, the shadows hissed. No! They surged, a wave of darkness crashing between us. You must choose or lose her forever. Could I truly fight this darkness? Or would I be coerced into becoming one with it? As the figures reached for me, their cold hands brushing my skin, I realized I was no longer just fighting for her, I was battling for my very soul. What price would I have to pay? And what would I become in the process? In that stifling chamber, surrounded by looming shapes, despair clawed at my heart. I could see her, my Sarah, swallowed by darkness, poised on the edge between hope and oblivion. The weight of the moment pressed against my chest like a leaden fog. The voices surrounded me, whispering treachery and promises of power. Choose! They hissed, their tone dripping with malice. What are you willing to sacrifice? Stand back! I shouted, desperation surging through me. Let her go! The shadows hissed, swirling violently, the air thickening with dread. As I took a step forward, fear did its dance in my mind. I won't let you keep her! Behind Sarah, the dark figures shifted, forming a barrier, their forms merging into the void. I felt their cold stare sink into my very essence, a flicker of my own trepidation reflected in their soulless eyes. This was more than a fight for her. It was a battle for the remnants of what I still held dear. Tom! Her voice broke through, raw and resonant, laced with fear and determination. You must fight. Don't give in! As if fueled by her words, I clenched my hands into fists, shaking off the shackles of despair. No! I screamed, charging forward through the shadows that clawed at my soul. They wrapped around my ankles, clutching at my skin like desperate hands, urging me to succumb. But I could still see her, her gaze fierce despite the fear. I felt her strength pulsing through me, urging me onward as I pushed against the suffocating veil. Sarah! I'm coming! I lunged forward, fueled by love and fire. Foolish man, the dark presence crooned, mocking me. You think love will save you? You have no idea what you're walking into. I could almost taste their bitterness, heavy like iron on my tongue. But real love formed an unyielding shield around me. With each step, something inside me ignited. Was it bravery? Or perhaps reckless abandon? I'd rather face the darkness than live in a world without her. My voice thundered through the swirling menace. The shadows recoiled momentarily, as if stung. I could see the glimmer of hope in Sarah's eyes, her determination lighting up my path. Fight, Tom! Fight for us! With that, I surged forward, determination fortifying my resolve. I reached for Sarah, grasping her limp hands and pulling, breaking through the encroaching darkness. Together! I shouted, feeling our combined energy surge like electricity. The shadows recoiled, howling in rage. With our love acting as our shield, we pushed against the dark tide, and it writhed in agony, recoiling from our light. Stop! The dark figure screeched, anger spilling from it like venom. This bond cannot exist. But it does, I countered, my voice steady, cutting through the noise. We're stronger together. You will never break us. The shadows thrashed wildly, louder than a storm, and I felt waves of despair batter against my resolve. This ends now. I roared, summoning everything within me as a light burst forth from our joined hands, tearing through the inky abyss. With a blinding flash, the dark figures screamed in anguish, retreating from the radiant energy. They scattered, dissipating like smoke, until only shadows flitted around the edges of my vision. And then I felt Sarah's warmth flooding back, rekindling the love we held for each other. Tom, she breathed, her eyes shimmering with something bright and beautiful, perhaps a newfound clarity. You did it. The chamber began to shift and tremble, the oppressive weight of the darkness lifting, revealing a glimmer of dawn breaking through cracks in the shadowy walls. I pulled her close, heart swelling with relief. We did it, I whispered, breathless, feeling the pulse of hope intertwining our souls. Yet as we stood together, I understood something critical had shifted. We must finish this no matter what it takes, I declared, determination taking root once more. With renewed courage, we faced the remnants of darkness, ready to confront whatever lay ahead. As daylight broke through, illuminating our path, I knew we would find a way to break the curse hanging over us once and for all. Together, Sarah. Whatever comes next, we face it together, I promised, holding her hand tightly. Yes, together, she agreed, a fragile smile breaking through the shadows. At that moment, I felt the world shift, the once oppressive darkness folding away like an old page. We stepped forward into the light, ready to reclaim the life we thought lost. It wasn't just about fighting the darkness. It was about embracing the peace waiting on the other side, the love we could preserve amidst everything that had tried to tear us apart. As the last of the dark shrouds faded, I knew our journey was far from over. But now, with Sarah by my side, the haunting echoes of despair began to quiet, and hope blossomed anew within our hearts. This was our life to rebuild, and we would do it together. Now that you've experienced the thrilling conclusion, don't miss out on our future adventures. You need to subscribe now to never miss these chilling stories. Smash that like button for the algorithm, and let's get this trending. Your thoughts matter, so flood the comments with your reactions and theories. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to see this conclusion. Show your support, and become part of our story-loving family.